Tonight on SPTV News, we have an update on the stabbing in Wausau and campus events Heck of a Night and Taste of Wisconsin that occurred this weekend. All this and more coming up on SPTV News.
From the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, this is your SPTV News with Milicia, Mitrovic, and Marty Kaufman.
SPTV talked to students about how they balance work and also being a full-time student.
As a college student, it is difficult to find that perfect balance between school and having a job. We interviewed two UW-Stevens Point students who seem to have found that balance.
There's definitely been the nights where I'm at work until, 12:30 in the morning, and then I have an 8 a.m. the next day.
Jen Rukavina is a sophomore at UWSP and a student manager at the university's Learning Resource Center. She works there about 20 hours per week. Jen knows that in order to keep the right balance between school and work, she must prioritize.
I feel like if I have an organized schedule, I stay on track.
As for getting her homework done, she uses her spare time wisely.
I try to take every break I possibly have during classes to work on homework. Even if it's an hour, it's still a chance to get homework done.
Glorian is a sophomore with 3 jobs and many extracurricular activities on her plate.
I am an ambassador for campus, also known as a tour guide, and I also work at dining services for the university.
She works 30 to 38 hours a week. On top of that, some of the clubs she is involved in includes
a member of a sorority here on campus. I'm the social chair for that. I am a big sister for Big Brothers Big Sisters. I am one of the co-presidents of Colleges Against Cancer. I am president of our hall government. and I'm also on the homecoming council.
Glorian, like Jen and many other busy students, relies on her planner to stay organized.
My planner is my entire life. I have my everything in there planned hour by hour to make sure nothing conflicts, and I always have enough time to do everything that I do.
If you are looking to become more involved on campus or searching for a job that suits you and your schedule, stop by the Student Involvement and Employment Office. This has been Jen Richardson with SPTV.
It takes an organized and motivated student to balance school, extracurriculars, and work.
The University Recreational Sports hosted yet another heck of a night for students to learn more about club sports that are offered at UWSP. The University Recreational Sports set up an event called Heck of a Night in the Multi-Activity Center to allow students to engage in club sports.
I think it's benefiting students because it's a way for them to be active and to learn about the recreational teams they can get involved with on campus, and I think it's just a fun way for them to get involved and to become a part of such a fun activities.
Those who participated in the event received a free t-shirt, pizza, and a chance to win prizes based on their performances at the event. Heck of a Night allows students to participate in a variety of activities that are offered at the university, including rugby, fishing, fly fishing, rock climbing, ultimate frisbee, and even taekwondo. To find out what more is offered at the University Recreational Sports, or to be informed on how to join these clubs, visit their website at www.uwsp.edu/centers/campus activities. This is Milicia Mitrovic with SPTV News. Students engaged in multiple activities that night and they received prizes.
Promoting awareness, victim empowerment is creating the booklet, The Survivor's Voice, empowering stories healing from sexual assault. People can anonymously submit short stories, copies of artwork, poems, inspirational quotes, and pictures. The work should be submitted by March 13th to Abby Tettinger.
Last Friday in the Brew House, they hosted Taste of Wisconsin, where attendees tasted several foods and drinks from different wineries, breweries, and food vendors. These included the Stevens Point Brewery, 3 Lakes Winery, Mullins Cheese, and many more. Attendees were able to sample foods and drinks while enjoying jazz music and socializing with other guests. In March, 10 professional leadership speakers, TJ Sullivan is coming to campus to give 2 of his speeches. The first is the apathy myth, which unveils the truth of members or a group who seem unmotivated. The is motivating the middle, which is geared toward how student leaders can better adapt to meet the needs of the students who have supporting roles in organizations.
In local news, King Cone and Plover opened last Friday. About 30 people were there for the season opening despite the cold temperatures. In addition, on Saturday, Belts opened its doors to the public. These local establishments are a staple in the community and are open seasonally.
At 9:30 p.m. on Saturday evening, a local lumber company was ablaze. Hamel Forest Products had very little damage because the local fire departments extinguished it rapidly, along with Roseholt Fire Department. Other departments from Stevens Point, Park Ridge, Rudolph, Plovers, Stockin, Hall, and Ola responded.
Dylan Yang, the 15-year-old boy from Wausau, accused of stabbing to death a 13-year-old boy, will be charged with first-degree reckless homicide as an adult. According to court records obtained by Daily Herald Media, Yang is being held on $1 million cash bond by the Marathon County Court. This fight started over social media and escalated to a young boy's murder. We will update you as more information is released.
Gogebic Technite, a mining company based out of Florida, closed its office in Hurley, Wisconsin. Gogebic was planning on digging a 4.5-mile-long iron mine in the Pinocchio Hills since 2011, but it will not happen. It was met with opposition from several conservationists and the Bad River Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, whose reservation is north of now non-existent mine site.
A fight between two people leads to 2 shots being fired outside a busy mall in Madison. The incident left scared shoppers and mall workers out in the cold while investigators gathered evidence. Jennifer Cleese reports.
Well, it's just like an average day. I look to my right and I'll see a lot of kids running.
A close call for workers and shoppers who scrambled to get out of Westtown Mall Saturday evening.
And then you hear for people saying gun. Somebody over by JCPenney in the play court over there. So I looked around and noticed each store doors were locking up.
At that point, it's like you're just trying to get to a safety place, like, move out the way.
We went into active shooter mode when we came to the mall, and the mall went into lockdown.
Lockdown after a fight broke out near the food court. At least 2 people were involved. One of them pulled out a gun and fired outside the mall.
There were numerous people in the area, but we don't know how many were actively fighting.
On a busy Saturday evening, police are relieved nobody was hurt.
This is by far one of the most closest we've had to having innocent bystanders affected by the disputes of 2 people or 2 or 3, whatever the case may be.
But investigators are hoping those bystanders can help them. Police say at least 1 shooter ran around to the side of the mall by JCPenney, then got into a vehicle and left. They want to hear from anyone who may have gotten a look at who's responsible.
Give us the information that we can use then to lock these folks up, because we can't tolerate this kind of thing.
At this time, no arrests have been made.
On March 4th, Mickey Crow will be signing copies of his biography, Over and Back, The Strange, Troubled Life of Wisconsin High School Basketball Legend at the Stevens Point Area High School. Crow is the 2nd leading scorer in Wisconsin boys basketball history.
In national news this week, demonstrators in the Ukrainian capital are voicing their opposition to Russia. A rally was held in Kiev where people prayed for a Ukrainian pilot being held by Moscow. CNN's Diana Magne has the details.
It feels a little as though the whole of Kiev has turned into one gigantic memorial. This a tribute to the Heavenly 100 killed on the Maidan, and here flowers laid in honor of Boris Nemtsov, killed on Friday. People here extremely upset at the death of a man who was described by Petro Poroshenko, the Ukrainian president, as a great friend of Ukraine, a great patriot of Russia, and a man who was a bridge between the 2 countries. And here there is a sign saying, Russia, I am Nemtsov, kill me. I am Savchenko, shoot me. Nadia Savchenko is a Ukrainian pilot who has been a captive in a Russian jail since June last year. She is now on her 80th day of hunger strike, and this is a rally here in the center of Kiev in her honor. Russia says that she was behind the killing of 2 Russian journalists who were hit by mortar fire at a checkpoint in eastern Ukraine last year. Kiev says that she has been kidnapped and is a prisoner of war. A little earlier, we spoke with her sister.
Nadia always thanks the whole world for their support. The thing she always asked about first is the front line, her comrades, and where the people are dying.
Savchenko has said that she will continue her hunger strike until she is released back to Ukraine, or she will die in a Russian jail. She has become something of a national hero in this country, a symbol of Russia's supposed oppression of the Ukrainian people. Diana Magne, CNN, Kiev.
We will keep you updated on the conflicts between Russia and Ukraine. Jihadi John was apparently very thorough in covering his tracks online, leaving a cold trail for investigators, but erasing all personal information on the internet is far easier said than done. Samuel Burke shows us what it takes to become virtually invisible.
Erasing all traces of yourself online doesn't just entail deactivating profiles on the most visible social networks, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google+. That will wipe out big traces. Experts say it's nearly impossible to delete everything, but you can get close.
It takes persistence. It takes understanding of where the information about you originates and how it gets put into different searchable databases and online services. So it takes some amount of knowledge, research, and actual patience to remove your identity from various online services where it's possible to do.
CNN could only find a single tweet referencing Mohammed Emwazi, a tweet from a London court to notify the public about his court appearance. He was later found not guilty of theft charges. Mohammed Emwazi graduated from the University of Westminster here in London with a degree in computer engineering, so he may be more adept at keeping a low internet profile or sweeping up his tracks online. A slew of services online promises to help erase you. Account Killer has a large database of sites and quickly gets you to their delete pages. Just Delete Me is a web browser extension alerting you anytime you're on a site that might need to be purged. And Noam lets you type in whatever usernames you've used to quickly get you through a whole host of sites that may keep your profile visible. When there's no way to close an account, people move to falsify the name listed. European courts have ruled users have a so-called right to be forgotten. EU citizens like Emwazi can fill out a simple online form with Google to wash traces of search results they'd rather not appear online. What you don't want to do to be forgotten, experts say, is get in trouble with the law or file complaints that could be entered into public record. Emwazi appears to have done just that, requesting help from a British prisoners' rights group called Cage to protest his treatment by UK authorities, though he used a pseudonym, Mohammed Muazzam, keeping his true name off the internet. Then in 2013, he changed his name to Mohammed El Ayan. While most of society is seemingly obsessed with sharing everything on social media, another wave of people like Mohammed Emwazi may leave it all behind without a trace. Samuel Burke, CNN, London.
Nothing from the internet can ever truly be erased.
Now SPTV's Alex Kirschman has your tech news, which include the decision on net neutrality.
Volvo has revealed the latest developments in its Drive Me project, showing off a complete system that could make it possible to integrate self-driving cars into regular traffic with drivers behind the wheel. The auto company is making progress towards its goal of releasing 100 self-driving vehicles to consumers in Sweden by 2017. This is a collaborative effort with legislators, transport authorities, and city officials to achieve sustainable mobility and help ensure a crash-free future on the roads. Peter Marins, Senior Vice President of Research and Development at Volvo, said, quote, "Autonomous driving will fundamentally change the way we look at driving. In the future, you will be able to choose between autonomous and active driving. This transforms everyday commuting from lost time to quality time, opening up new opportunities for work and pleasure," unquote. Volvo isn't the only auto company developing an autonomous driving system. Mercedes and Audi both announced similar efforts earlier this year. Artificial intelligence has taken another step forward, surprisingly in the area of classic video games. Researchers at Google's DeepMind subsidiary in England have developed an artificial agent that learned to play 49 classic Atari 2600 arcade games by just diving in. The AI's algorithm performed at more than 75% of the level of a professional player in more than half the games during its first interactions, coming up with far-sighted strategies that let it achieve the maximum attainable scores in several of the games. While Demis Hassabis, VP of Engineering at Google DeepMind, stated that the games are simply useful testing grounds for the AI, Doing so well in classic games like Space Invaders and Pac-Man is something not many gamers would shrug off. Net neutrality has been of large concern for users of the internet lately, but last week, supporters of net neutrality celebrated a landmark FCC ruling. Andrea Borba from CNN has the details.
No, this isn't a terribly late Oscar party. Inside San Francisco's Internet Archive, the excitement is over today's FCC net neutrality ruling.
It's a big step towards locking the web open.
They said that the Internet belongs to everybody and not the corporations.
The battle over net neutrality and the open Internet has been contentious.
Do you remember physically having friends? It was awful.
With comedian John Oliver urging the trolls of the Internet to sway the FCC.
The Internet in its current form is not broken.
To side with them and not Comcast, AT&T, and Verizon. In a nutshell, the FCC ruling classifies Internet service providers as a common carrier, a necessity closer to your telephone than to cable TV, and subject to government regulation.
Probably the biggest public interest victory at the FCC, because today, a million Davids rose up against a big Goliath.
Here's why. The providers wanted to fundamentally change the way you pay to surf, stream, and tweet.
Turn the internet into what they've done with cable TV. They want to charge you an extra $5 a month to access Netflix, or, hey, look, you use Twitter a lot. Wouldn't it be great if you could access it faster if you pay us another $5 a month?
And charge companies like Netflix extra to make sure your shows don't get stuck buffering.
Internet users all over the country said, no, that actually sounds like a terrible idea.
In San Francisco, Andrea Borba, KPIX5.
Internet users will not have to pay more to gain faster access to the internet.
That's all we have for news this week. Justin Pomplin has the latest in sports when we return.
First round, this is Adam Yurkovsky and Justin Pomplin. If you enjoy our Final Take show, make sure you tune in every week to stay up to date on Stevens Point sports. Remember, Pointers, anything sports.
Having trouble getting that first date? Ever wonder if soulmates are real? All your burning love questions can now be answered on SPTV's newest show, The Love Doctor. Join the Love Doctor herself, Michaela Hilgard, as she diagnoses UW Stevens Point's love problems. Whether it's an epidemic of shyness or a case of mixed signals, The Love Doctor is here with the cure.
Pointers teams competed in their respective conference tournaments. The men's hockey team faced UW Superior this past weekend in two close games. The first game ended in a 1-1 tie. Kyle Sharkey had the lone goal for the Pointers, and Brandon Jager made 28 saves. In the deciding second game, down 3-2 in the third period, UWSP scored 3 goals to win the game and advance to the WIAC championship. Lawrence Cornelia, Kevin Gibson, and Scott Henniger led the Pointers in the comeback. The Pointers will host UW River Falls for the Commissioner's Cup this Saturday at Willett Arena. The women's hockey team advanced to the WIAC championship game after sweeping UW Superior at home this past weekend. In Game 1, the Pointers won 2-1 courtesy of 2 goals by Emily Lester and 21 saves by goalie Jana Belke-Skaug. In the second game, 5 different Pointers scored to lead UWSP to a 5-0 win. The Pointers jumped out early to a 3-0 lead in the first period with goals from Ali Biagini, Kat Najedlo, and Rachel Reynard. UWSP will travel to UW River Falls to play for the O'Brien Cup. In a surprising defeat, UWSP was beaten by UW Oshkosh 50-47 in the WIC semifinals, in a revenge game from earlier in the year when UWSP won on a half-court buzzer beater over the Titans. The Pointers held a 39-29 lead in the second half but could not hold on as the Titans made a furious comeback. Austin Riff and Jordan Lutz each scored 14 points for UWSP. The Pointers will play Concordia at home Friday at 8 p.m. in the first round of the NCAA tournament. A week after winning in the last second over UW Superior, the UWSP women's basketball team fell to the Yellow Jackets in the WIAC tournament 58-36 as the Pointers were outscored 35-18 in the second half. Off the bench, UWSP was led by Ali Maselli and Jamie Destash, who each added 11 points. The season ended for the Pointers, who finished 14-13 overall and 8-8 in the WIAC. Finally, the track and field teams competed at the WIAC Indoor Conference Championships, as the men's team finished 6 out of 9 teams with 59.50 points, and the women's team finished 5th out of 9 with 66 points. That is all we have for sports for tonight. Cody Boujan is up next with your entertainment news.
Got an itch to be on air? Join the SPTV news crew. Being an on and off-air reporter will help you gain experience in interviewing, shooting and editing video, and reporting behind the anchor desk. Join SPTV News, pointing to you.
Last Wednesday, RHA hosted Casino Night, where students were able to play casino games while eating some treats like popcorn and cotton candy. The Carlson Art Gallery is hosting an art exhibit called Seeing Light. The artist, Angela Frank Wells, has some of her artwork on display in the Carlson Art Gallery. Seeing Light is what Angela is calling this creative work. The photos displayed are produced by a method called chromoscedastic sabatier. Chromoscedastic is Greek for color by light scattering. The images are created during the development stages by combining the chemicals with light during development. The artwork will be on display until March 8th. The exhibit will be in the gallery until March 7th. Netflix held the third season premiere of its original series, House of Cards, in London. And like its ruthless lead character Frank Underwood, it seems Netflix wants to rule the world. Its stock has soared this year, climbing over 40%. But where to go from there is the question. Isosores reports.
Get ready, Kathy. Things are about to move very quickly.
In the new season of House of Cards, Frank Underwood has achieved the pinnacle of power, the presidency of the United States. And just like House of Cards, Netflix finds itself at the top of its game, with shares hitting all-time highs. Still, with US subscription growth slowing to under 2 million in the fourth quarter, some fear the stock is already priced for perfection. And as last night's glitzy London premiere showed, the big hope for Netflix is now growth overseas.
The big growth is unambiguously not an American story for this company next year and the year after. The future growth is definitely international, but the future of profit and margin for the company also has to be international. They have to turn the world into a profit center, not a cost center being subsidized by the US.
Netflix is in nearly 50 countries now. It hopes to be in as many as 200 countries when it completes its expansion in 2 years. Massive markets like China and Russia still don't have Netflix. The critically panned, hugely expensive drama Marco Polo was intended to appeal to overseas audiences.
If it pleases your greatness, you may.
But to really excel in new markets, analysts say Netflix must do more, much more.
If they really want to be a Latin American and a European and an Asian company that's producing content, then they need offices and content production in all those different locations for those very different audiences with their different expectations.
That, of course, costs money. Netflix must spend big bucks to keep rivals like Amazon and Hulu at bay. And investors may balk if costs rise too sharply. The cast of House of Cards is all smiles now. But just like President Frank Underwood,
We're survivors.
Netflix will soon have to excel in foreign affairs.
What are you looking at?
Isa Suarez, CNN, London.
Maybe someday the whole world will unite by binge-watching their favorite series. Here's another story about a dress, and we all know what color this one is. It's the gown reported stolen shortly after the Oscars ceremony. Police say it might have been found. Jasmine Vale has the latest.
Folded up neatly inside this black garment bag is the $150,000 white pearl designer Calvin Klein dress worn by actress Lupita Nyong'o at the Oscars.
It's a pearl bodice, cut-out shoulders, long, white.
A dress that was reported stolen by the actress 2 days ago.
We will maintain custody of the dress.
Lieutenant Michael White with the West Hollywood station says a media outlet called them today after that source received an anonymous tip that the dress was back in the same London West hotel where it had been taken.
Saying that the dress had been returned to the hotel and placed in a restroom on the second floor of the hotel that was in the process of being renovated.
A few pearls are missing, but everything else appears to be intact. These ladies staying at the hotel have been following the story closely.
We heard about the stolen dress. I was concerned, but I'm so glad it was found.
Lieutenant White says the thieves reportedly returned the dress after discovering the pearls were fake.
I would imagine there are lots of designers out that design garments that are valued at a lot of money that don't have any jewels on them. So that wouldn't change anything in our investigation.
That investigation looking into who broke into the actress's hotel room.
Because it's just safe and I feel safe. But when I heard about that, I was a little concerned.
We have lots of interesting things that happen in West Hollywood.
Detectives hope to confirm that is the real dress as quickly as possible. Leonard Nimoy, one of science fiction's most iconic actors, has passed away. He's best known for portraying the stoic Mr. Spock on the Star Trek TV series and movies. The New York Times and LA Times confirmed his passing with his widow. She tells the New York Times he died of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Leonard Nimoy was 83. Jason Carroll looks back at his career.
That is quite logical, Captain.
Leonard Nimoy was and will always be remembered as Spock, the half-human, half-Vulcan he portrayed for more than 4 decades on the big screen and the small screen, where his character debuted in the original Star Trek series September 8th, 1966.
That may be correct, Captain.
Spock's life on board the Starship Enterprise took him to many worlds. In reality, Nimoy's love for acting began right here on Earth in his hometown.
I started acting when I was a little boy, about 8 years old, in neighborhood settlement houses in Boston, and kind of grew up into it.
Live long and prosper.
As beloved as Spock is with his audiences, in his early career, Nimoy played a lot of characters audiences loved to hate.
I had done a lot, yeah. I pushed a lot of people around and got my comeuppance in the end of the show.
The banks have a built-in radar for box office. They can smell a winner.
Nimoy's big break came when a producer took notice of the young actor in an episode of the 60s Marine Corps drama, The Lieutenant. That producer, Gene Roddenberry, who, like the cast, saw something special in Nimoy's Spock.
He invented that character. They had made an earlier pilot in which nobody had grasped the edges of the character.
With his imagination and his innovation, his creativity, made that character, one, interestingly, humanized and so rivetingly intriguing.
He knows, Doctor.
Despite all the Star Trek spin-offs, a dozen movies, 5 series, countless conventions,
All scanning stations manned.
the first Star Trek series lasted only 3 seasons, 79 episodes.
My favorite episode was called Amok Time. In that episode, we heard the words "live long and prosper" for the first time, and we saw Spock do this for the first time.
One of our classic arts.
Nimoy went on to star in a number of TV shows following the series. He also pursued other passions, photography and poetry, publishing a book in 1977.
The answer has been here.
In the 90s, Spock appeared in Star Trek The Next Generation.
Father.
And when J.J. Abrams rebooted the movies in 2009, again in 2013, the original Spock was there too.
35 years ago, I met the Enterprise for the first time.
NASA's shuttle Enterprise, named after the starship, and when it retired in 2012, Nimoy was there to talk about it. Tell us about what you're feeling today.
It feels like a reunion.
In Nimoy's later years, he spoke about the dangers of smoking after being diagnosed with a lung disease.
I quit a long time ago. Why is this happening to me? But it's a lesson that I had to learn.
His character Spock may have prided himself on being emotionless, but in the end, that could not be further from who the man was to his family.
We'll miss Nimoy. Well, that wraps up entertainment news for this week. Mimi, Marty after the break.
Let the snow and cold get you down this winter. The frozen tundra outside may keep you indoors, but here at SPTV, we'll still be getting you the best news, sports coverage, and entertainment that you need. Don't freeze your fingers and toes off to find out what's happening around campus. Stay warm, everyone.
So Mimi, over the past weekend, there's a lot of talk about what color is this dress. What did you see for that dress?
Okay, I saw orange. I mean, gold and white, not orange.
That's a new color, but
what color did you
I saw
see?
white and gold too. I don't know. I've seen so many alterations of this photo. I don't know what to think or believe, but what I first saw was white and gold.
Yeah, I've never been so mad at a dress before.
I've never been so mad at Twitter before.
Well, that's all we have for SPTV News this evening. Stay connected with our social media pages. Good night, Stevens Point.